When we had our first child, Reese, we were young, um, and we were kind of at the mercy of the nurses and the people that should be looking out for you, and generally they do. Back then they just gave a mandatory injection of vitamin K. I think vitamin K is administered to help the blood clotting. Now, I'm pretty sure that's right. If they decided that, it doesn't matter if they need it or not, it's just a matter of policy that they give this vitamin. Fortunately, we're of a mind, even back there, that more of a natural and healthier aspects of things is the way to go. It just makes sense, and it's good, clear thinking. When you have a new child, of course, everything's new. It doesn't matter how much you read or people tell you, you come across things that you've never known before, and this is one of them. We were pretty determined that our next child, Calvin, would not get a vitamin K injection, and it's just ridiculous to stick a needle in a perfectly healthy child. So at that point of time, you could actually sign a piece of paper to say if you want the injection or not, along with other things. We said no, definitely not. We don't want a vitamin K injection, and so we'd tick the box on the document saying we did not want the vitamin K. We had the birth; it all went well. All our births went well, and they were quick and natural, and everything was great. So. And then immediately when Calvin was born, they do the usual thing. I mean, I cut the umbilical cord, of course, and they check the placenta and all that sort of stuff. And so shortly after that, here's the nurse with a syringe of vitamin K ready to stick it into Calvin's heel. And I said to her, "Oh no, we don't want vitamin K in our child." And she said, "Oh no, it's just to help them, etc., etc. We do this all the time." I said, "No, we don't want it." And she kept on going towards Calvin and they stick it in the heel, going towards Calvin to inject it. I repeated it. I said, "No, we don't want it. We actually signed the paper and we didn't want it." She kept going, just completely ignoring, and I'm still, I'm relatively young. So you are at the, you have this authority figure, and you're under an enormous amount of pressure to sort of go along with what they say. She kept going towards Calvin with the needle, and I had to actually stand in between Calvin and the nurse, and physically be in the way of her being able to inject it. And at that point, she realised, oh yeah, I better not go ahead with that. So it's a tremendous amount of pressure for a young couple to face. I'm proud of myself and Julie that we stood up against this and just didn't allow it to happen. The reason why I'm saying this story is that in a similar way, I'm facing the same situation now with mandatory vaccination against COVID. I'm not against vaccines as such, even though, I'd rather natural treatment beforehand. But for various reasons, for inconsistencies about the data and an uncertainty that's out there, that we're under the same pressure from authority, the coercion and the bullying to push you into having a vaccine when you're not comfortable having yet because of various reasons. Like there's not, in my opinion, there's not enough data about the safety of it. And whether you've had the injection or haven't had the injection, whether you've had the first shot or the second shot, or you're going to have a booster shot, I urge everybody just to stop what they're doing, put on pause their decision about what they're going to do until at least the various hearings that are going through the courts at the moment and more data is in about the effectiveness and the safety of the vaccine. Wait until that's more clear. Whatever you do, don't listen to somebody that's on TV, even if they're under the guise of health minister or a supposed expert. In this country, vaccines are given the clearance through the Therapeutic Goods Administration, the TGA. Now, last year, the boss of that, John Skerritt, I think his name was, he invited everybody to actually go and have a look at that, and I actually did. And that was way before mandatory, the notion of mandatory vaccine was coming into place. And I actually did. Now, so I've read that report. Now, it's just a matter-of-fact report put out by the various vaccine companies, and this particular one was the AstraZeneca, because that's the only one that was there at the moment. And the first paragraph was saying that this is a provisional vaccine, and there's just not enough data around there to actually guarantee its effectiveness or the side effects. And it goes down listing all the various things that you should consider. Now, I can't see how anybody that's actually read that could comfortably be injected with one of those vaccines. And it astonishes me that the number of people, whether they've chosen to have the vaccine or not, haven't even read it. Haven't even read the TGA documentation, which is what all our politicians and health officers, etc., go by. So how in the world can anybody make a quality decision? So I ask everybody, whether you had the vaccine or not, how in the world have you made that decision unless you've actually, just read the simple thing of the TGA report? So the point of all this is that there's a lot of people out there that don't want it for various reasons, and a lot of them are valid reasons. There's a lot of people that are anguishing over this and so upset by the fact that you're forced into it. There's a lot of people that have been forced into having the vaccine through bullying, coercion of the fact that they can't work, etc. Some people have been quite happy about having it. Okay, fair enough, but have they read the TGA report? The people that are not sure what they're doing, are not sure what the problem is they've been coerced in there, and they're afraid to speak out about it. Like just right now, I'm a bit hesitant about speaking out about it because of the flack you get, and yet in my best estimations, I'm making a very logical, scientific approach to my decision not to have the vaccine, and yet it's very hard to get that voice out there. So things are happening. There's hearings and things like that. Thankfully, there are platforms where people can voice their opinion. But so I urge those people who feel like they're lost, that there are places where you can go to and have that platform where you can feel that you're supported in some way. It's just a sickening predicament that we're in, that Australia's come to this, and some people in so much mental anguish about this on what they should do. It's just not. It's not Australian. It's not ethical. It's just not right at all. This is just my opinion. I don't believe it's about the care, the health care of the citizens anymore. It's shifted from that to politically survive and legally not to be held accountable for anything. So it's shifted to this avenue for the government to latch on this 80%. So politically they'll be saved, the economy will open up, they'll look good, because there's so much worldwide momentum in acknowledging that the vaccine works, that they're in a win-win situation now, because if it doesn't work, well, they've been told by the experts, they've got the economy happening, so they're okay. That's my opinion, but I think that's how it's gone. It angers me that we're in this situation now when we need not have had to be in this situation. Australia had gotten to 0 infections. We were in the ideal position to just get all our economy locally happening. We could have had no border restrictions or anything like that, or any lockdown restrictions. We could have assessed calmly and more accurately and with quality the various vaccines that were coming out, and we could have watched the rest of the world to see what the outcome was, and also consider the ramifications of opening up our borders, our international borders, and make sure we have good quarantine in place, and also make sure that we've addressed the public about the possibility of having a mandatory vaccine, and see what ramifications people might have brought up, like we're having now. They've never considered these things that have been brought up by people who don't want it for good reason. And now, if anybody's been hearing the latest hearing, which is about to be decided upon by the judge, and that was the plaintiffs reversing, is it Brett Hazard, of the New South Wales Chief Officer Hazard. Now, something there came out was that he, in the end, through the lawyers, he was saying, "Oh no, we're not suggesting that you should have a vaccine and make it a mandatory on everybody. We're saying that for those unvaccinated people, we're just temporarily restricting their movement." Now that's a spin he's given. And now I don't think anybody had that notion. I don't think anybody's had any notion that the fact that they were making it mandatory, and the only way you got to work is if you have that COVID. But I know he's going, oh no, we're not making it mandatory. We just temporarily restricting the movements of unvaccinated people. Well, what a load of bulldust that is. And I was so outraged by sort of admission. I was just lost for words that these people supposedly looking out for welfare have had that attitude. Now the lawyer for the plaintiffs on day 4, which was yesterday, he put it very elegantly with these words about that particular admission, and he said that it was artificial and disingenuous. And I thought, yeah. So these are the people who we're trusting, and yet they've been so deceitful and non-transparent. I urge everybody to, at the very least, wait upon what decision they have, whether it's not to have the injection, to have the first dose, to have the second dose, or a booster. Just wait until there's more data, and we'll see what the hearings say.